Mine's over the NCAA 14 playoff system. It's actually going to be replacing the old BCS computer ranking system. So I'm going to start off with my own intro. After years of debate, changes, favoritism, and harangues from fans and members of media, major college football finally will determine its champion the way virtually every other sport does, which is on the field. Gentlemen, in the middle is President Charles Steger. He's actually the chairman of the BCS committee, which has approved this plan for the 14 playoff to determine the national championship. The new format was announced after meeting at a Dew Point hotel, which will go into effect following the 2014 regular season. The playoff will replace the controversial BCS, which used a combination of polls and computer ranking systems that defined themselves as clearly superior, or actually, hold on, let me back up, to determine which two teams should play for the national title while helping to determine matchups in 4 high-profile bowl games. The former method was instituted in 1998 and worked fine when 2 and only 2 teams defined themselves as clearly superior during the regular season. Most years, though, ended up with spurred fans from schools lamenting why such a popular sport was demanding its champion with computer formulas and game results. It's hard to understand, and yes, that's exactly what the BCS is. Under this new plan, the 2 semifinal games will be played within a rotation of 6 existing bowls, with the national championship game bid out to a neutral site and managed by the conferences. And according to Charles Steger, he says it's the best of both worlds result. He says it captures the excitement of a playoff but protects its best regular season in sports and also the tradition of the bowls. A 14 playoff doesn't go too far, it goes just enough. He also said the 4 playoff participants will be determined by a selection committee, similar to one that chooses the 68-team field for the highly popular NCAA basketball tournament every year, which is March Madness. Details such as size and composition of the committee remain unsolved, but the criteria will use a win-loss record, strength of schedule, head-to-head results, and whether the team is a conference champion or not. Looking at this 14 playoff, President Steger approved. I have to say I disagree. What college football needs is an 18 playoff because it ensures fairness and it will ensure that the 2 best teams will play for the national championship. Going on right here. That's mine. In retrospect, at the end of the 2008 regular season, there were 7 one-loss teams and 2 undefeated teams that had strong arguments on why they had the right to play for a national championship. Quite frankly, some of these teams could not and will not be able to prove themselves on the field. So let's say if a similar occurrence like this one would happen in the near future with this 4-team playoff system in effect. The suits in charge of the BCS must have been working hard all spring to come up with the name for this college football playoff system. And after, clearly, with being just kind-hearted and very, very intelligent, the suits came up with the name College Football Playoff. This is why they get paid big money. They get paid for their sheer genius, forward-thinking innovation, and edgy marketing ideas. And they probably patted themselves on the backs and said, do you think the fans will understand what we are trying to convey? Which leads me to this. No. Actually, we don't, because the so-called 14 playoff isn't really a playoff, it's more of an invitational. A playoff weeds out the good from the bad through a series of games, and the last 2 teams standing play for a title. A true playoff system does not include 2 teams playing for a title in the first and only round. But this is what we have. So I guess the next step would be forming the selection committee. Error, and more error. Oh yeah, more error. This is the biggest problem with this new 4-team playoff because there's literally no room for error. Stager stated that the selection committee would be similar to March Madness. I would again have to say I disagree. With that many teams in the league or in a tournament, the possibility of a team or the best team coming out is actually very high. This 4-team doesn't really prove anything. Do any of you gentlemen know who that is? No? I didn't think so. All right, let's carry this on. So who punches his ticket to the selection committee? There's a high possibility that a major snafu will occur if the right people aren't picked to select those teams. What we actually need is experienced pundits and talking heads are always preferred, but too many old school members will probably result in safe picks. Instead of the college football playoff will be nicknamed the SEC Invitational. Conversely, a member who has an out-of-the-box personality wouldn't technically fit in, but an alternative perspective is what they actually need. What the committee doesn't need is a Hal Mumm-like voter. And for those of you who don't know, he actually currently serves as the offensive coordinator for Southern Methodist University. A voter like him, he's impressed with flashy teams piling on points against defenseless teams. And if any of you are familiar with his 2007 pick for the #1 team in the nation, he chose Hawaii, which was 12-0. Sounds like a great record, but the conference doesn't faze me. Can any of you actually, gentlemen, recall, or even ladies can recall, give me like the top 5 teams that were ranked in 2007?
OU, Florida, USC,
Auburn,
You didn't know them?
OSU.
This is pretty good, okay.
Oregon.
Ohio State being #1, a high-powered offense like that would have trashed Hawaii, defenseless. A strong defense like LSU would have swallowed Hawaii alive. You had a spread offense like OU who would have completely dominated Hawaii's mini defense. Those are just examples. What the committee should be doing is checking every candidate's voting archives and looking for trends. Did he favor one conference over another? Did he ignore the teams of a non-BCS conference? Did his voting seem consistent? And most importantly, did the coach that's actually voting have a clear grasp of anything that's going to happen over a course of a college football weekend? More than anything else, each member of the selection committee should have a thorough knowledge of the college football landscape, have no hidden agenda, and have a fresh perspective on evaluating potential playoff teams. In other words, or in my conclusion, pick the guy who hates the new name of the college football playoff system. That's all I got.
Thank you, Alex. All right, so how many makeups do we have? 1, 2. I know Chris has got one as well. So what are we looking at? 3? Is that it? Unfortunately, that is not a sufficient enough audience. So I will need everyone to come during the final exam period. Probably only going to keep you for about 20 minutes or however long it takes to listen to those speeches. I will pass around an attendance sheet, so I do expect you to be here. Please come and be a good audience for Taylor and Charles and Chris. All right. If you spoke today, hang out. We'll talk about it for just a second. If you didn't, I will see you next week.
Can I say something?
Sure, you bet.
Hey guys, listen, I enjoyed this class, but most of all, I enjoyed all you. I really did. And I hope to see each and every one of you again. Like I saw Crystal last week, what helped me with the Earth Fair. Did a great job. But I just wanted to say that before I had a chance.
You bet.
While I had a chance.